Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to Evolve or Die. This video is pretty much going to be focused on Biden's proposed infrastructure plan and the effect that that's going to have on the market as a whole, what sectors within the market are going to be benefited by this plan, as well as its effect on the crypto space. So I'm going to give you guys a quick little rundown about the breakdown of the allocated funds within the proposed bill. So it's a $1.2 trillion spending bill that's going to be dispersed over the next 5 to 8 years. And it includes billions of dollars in additional spending to improve roads, bridges, and water infrastructure, as well as broadband infrastructure for rural areas. Like I said, we're going to see about $579 billion allocated for spending in new roads, transportation, mass transit. We're going to see the EV sector being propelled forward by this bill substantially. Bridges, like we talked about, this is going to be the largest investment in the rail system since Amtrak began. And a lot of the focus of the infrastructure is going to be on underserved communities, misrepresented communities, and like rural areas that don't have a lot of development, or they struggle to scale the development. So it's going to be the largest American job investment since World War II. And so let's kind of go look at a breakdown of exactly how the money is supposed to be allocated, like a breakdown of the $1.2 trillion bill. We have about 400 billion that's going to be allocated to care for elderly people and disabled Americans. We have a proposed 300 billion that's going to improved drinking water systems and water infrastructure. We have an estimated 580 billion that's going to American manufacturing research and development. And there are plans and ambitions to build a national electric vehicle charging system. However, there's not enough drivers as of right now, this video to date. There's not enough EV drivers in the United States to make this a plausible or feasible goal as of right now. It's just the demand does not match the supply, if that makes sense. So there's just not enough EV users in the United States to make this realistic at this time. But it is a part of the proposal, and it's a part of the presentation of the bill. And most Republicans are on board with improving infrastructure. However, the disagreement lies in how it's going to be funded. So a large portion of this bill Biden's proposing is to be funded by a raise to a 28% corporate tax, which the Republicans are not very fond of. However, I do want to point out that at the end of the Obama administration, 5-6 years ago, the corporate tax rate was actually reduced from 35% down to 28%. And Trump, when he came into office, he then further reduced the corporate tax rate from 28%. So there's kind of a disparity in the way that the Republicans are looking at this, because it is raising the corporate taxes from the current tax rate. However, it was substantially higher at the end of the Obama administration when they decreased it from 35% down to 28%, which led Trump to decline it even more. He decreased it even more. So it's kind of like they're raising it back to a higher threshold, but it's not 35% as it was a few years ago. So there are some disagreements on how to go about funding this project. The Republicans are not on board with the tax hikes, which is understandable. And so now that we have a breakdown of, what's supposed to be included in this bill, just a few sectors that I personally think are going to be positively impacted by this bill are going to be, of course, our electric vehicle sector, our renewable energy and sustainability sector. I think semiconductors are going to have a huge recovery phase if this bill is approved at this level. Whether it gets approved at 1.2 trillion, we'll have to wait to see when the bill is presented on the floor. However, like I said, we're going to see some substantial money being funneled into the EV sector, renewable energy, sustainability over the next few years, semiconductors. And now the stock market as a whole, I want to talk about what I think is going to happen if this bill is passed at this sum, because while the plan is designed to revitalize the economy, like we talked about, it is the largest American jobs plan since World War II. And over time, we are going to see a slight increase in GDP. I think it's just underneath 1% that the US debt is going to be decreased by over a time span of 30 years. However, in the short term, this is going to raise the US debt by about 10% for a long-term projected diminishing of the debt by 1%. So it is going to propel the economy forward. It is going to stimulate the economy. However, I think this is going to have very, very negative impacts on the stock market as a whole, minus the sectors that we just talked about: manufacturing, EV, renewable energy, sustainability, semiconductor sector. And I'm going to tell you why that is. So if we rewind back to 2020 and examine all of the stimulus that was paid out, all of the economic recovery plans that were disseminated, I believe it was 3 rounds of stimulus payments that most Americans saw during the pandemic. We saw the increase of money supply increase by 40% in 1 year. And that led to a lot of fear surrounding the conditions of, as well as the future conditions of the stock market. So what we saw in 2020 was a massive exodus from the stock market into treasury bond yields for that security, for that guaranteed fixed annual rate of return. We saw a lot of mass exoduses away from the market and into treasury bond yields. So I do think that this is going to further the concerns of inflation and create more fear in regards to inflation. However, this is going to be really good for the crypto space, however, because think back again, we're going to rewind back to 2020 when Bitcoin rallied over 3,000%, over 5,000%, over 10,000%. We saw Bitcoin rally to never before seen peaks during 2020. And that was because as inflation was increasing, as we were printing more money, as we were disseminating more stimulus checks, and that fear surrounding the economic conditions and leading to that, the drawing and like the magnetization towards treasury bond yields, the same gravitation was happening for Bitcoin. Like people began to realize that Bitcoin was a store of value to hedge against inflation. So while, you know, the money printer's going brrr, while it's printing and printing more money, we have people that are investing in Bitcoin to hedge that inflation. So I do think this is going to be really good for the crypto space. Just wanted to give you guys a quick little update about my personal thoughts on what is going to happen if this infrastructure plan does get passed at $1.2 trillion. Just looking at historical stock market performances under Democratic presidents, as well as administrations, and looking at the historical performance of the stock market with fears of inflation following that. So yeah, just again, guys, I think if this bill gets passed, it's going to be great for the crypto space. It's going to be great for Bitcoin. I think we are going to see Bitcoin rally again. If this does get passed, like I said, at this level. Now, if this bill is slashed in half before it's passed, this could have a completely different effect. But if those fears of inflation are constantly being fueled, constantly being propelled forward, the market as a whole is going to reflect those fears. It's going to reflect the societal outlook of the market and economic conditions. So that pretty much sums up this video, guys. I just wanted to share a breakdown of where Biden wants to allocate this money throughout the country, as well as what I think it's going to do to the stock market, and how I think the crypto space is going to be affected. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Keep evolving. If you liked the video, learned anything, found anything useful, hit the like button and the subscribe button down below, and turn on the bell so you guys get notifications whenever I post a video. And thanks for tuning in, guys.